I'd like to talk about protecting your business name with integrity. Now, if you've been watching my series, is that I talk a lot about integrity because, in business, that's all you have, your word, and your word is your bond. And even to a larger extent, your company name is your bond. Now, I mean, if you have integrity, for most people that are in business long term, you just have one company name and that's it. And when word gets out that, hey, you're a great company to work for, you never have to worry about business because your clients or former clients are referring to other people. And you have a team of salespeople that will sell for you. And that'll save you a lot of money because, in the beginning, you have to spend a lot on advertising and marketing and putting yourself out there, going to networking events, et cetera, et cetera. And that's expensive and it's very time consuming. But if you protect your name, with integrity and essentially, hey, they're a good business. You never have to worry about your reputation and, having to deviate from the rules because, when you deviate from the rules, you kind of make up your own rules. And with that, you kind of always have to be looking over your shoulder. If somebody's going to badmouth you or whatever it is. A good idea on this is always deliver on your promise every single time. And when you do that, people know what they're going to get. And you never have to worry, like I said, looking over your back, worrying about somebody giving you bad reviews, and things like that. And part of giving your word, make sure you're honest. Don't over deliver, or don't over promise something and something that can't be done. We all get in binds. We all get in a situation that, hey, we might need some money real quick, but don't do that. Just say, hey, I'm doing this or I'm doing that and make sure it's reasonable. And as far as what you're doing, be transparent. People like to know up front, hey, how much is this? How much is that? I understand some of y'all out there can't always, things change, the scope changes. They may have this extra area that they didn't talk about, so on and so forth. It's quid pro quo. So let's say, for example, you're cleaning someone's apartment, right? And they say it's $1,500 or 1,500 square feet. And you've been around the block long enough to know, okay, it's going to be, X amount of dollars, right? And you go there and they're not around and whatever. And let's say they forgot to mention that they have an extra 10,000 square feet that needs to be cleaned as well. Well, they didn't talk about that. And the rate that you set was based upon the 1,500 square feet. This is as far as the scope changing. So they need that extra clean. Just call them up and say, hey, I noticed that you had this, and this. And if you can, before you do the work, say, hey, is it okay if we change the price based on whatever? It's in business, you want to set yourself up for success and not for failure. Now, obviously that's going to be a little bit of a squirrely conversation you're going to have because, he said, she said, as far as maybe they thought they told you or didn't tell you. Go back to them, hey, I'm just reiterating, I know we spoke about the rate being this, but I noticed you had these extra square footage that I didn't include as far as the calculation. From my experience, it's going to be a little bit awkward. Now, if you do the work and afterwards you tell them, hey, I did this extra square footage, I want to build this extra amount, it's going to be a very awkward conversation. So, unfortunately, conversations and even awkward conversations are a part of business. So I definitely would be open and honest with them as far as doing that. That'll protect your name for many, many years. And, one of the things I also notice, always, even if you're a bigger company than just like a one man or one woman shop, always monitor and always, be on the lookout for your name as far as not from a business owner's perspective, but from a customer's perspective. So what I mean by that is maybe, Google your name, right? And you can see the reviews as far as, let's just say, you have storefront or whatever you have, and people are going to say reviews as far as, you had some good reviews, you had some bad reviews. And as part of that, it's real easy from an entrepreneur just to be gung-ho about every situation you have, but it's always good to be humble too. So be open to accepting feedback. Nobody ever has the perfect business. And, occasionally we're sometimes our brains are in left field. So we're not always actively thinking about the customer, but be open to feedback and of course grow, right? Doing the same thing for 30, 40 years, you'll never grow. So you always have to change, and the scope changes, and people's customs and cultures, and, smile when you see people, right? So, because that can change people's perception, because you never know what they're going through, and they're coming to see you, and, that's just the way it is. But as far as doing that, just go online, maybe search your name, things like that. And like I said, be open to feedback, be open to change, and certainly if you can correct something that maybe somebody didn't get a product or didn't get that product or whatever, go back to them and say, hey, I goofed and I forgot to give you the product. What can we do to make it up to you? At least if nothing else, even though you may have already lost a customer or whatever it may be, at least you have a clear conscience as far as, hey, I tried to correct the mistake. I did what I could and went from there. But no one ever bats 1,000, so it's just kind of the way it is. Sometimes you're going to strike and strike out, but just kind of be open to that. And then also as well, build a moat of goodwill, and so that people will always defend a brand that they love. So if you build in, hey, we're a good customer service, we give away 100 turkeys at Thanksgiving, whatever, Christmas for the kids, for orphan kids, whatever it may be. Build in, goodwill, because, one day, even though a potential customer doesn't want your product at the time, their situation just doesn't call for whatever situation you're selling in the future, or they may know somebody in the industry, and they, obviously when that comes and they're having a conversation with their friend or next door neighbor, hey, these guys are good guys. You want to deal with them. They're definitely the product and service to go to. You're building that goodwill as far as giving away those turkeys for Thanksgiving to, orphans or whoever, your church group, whatever it may be. So definitely keep that in mind, I can tell you that everyone, small business owners, they hit these moments where their values and revenues collide. Maybe you have your mortgage due and you don't have enough money in the bank, or, whatever it may be. Always be ethical, I can tell you. And of course, save your name if you can, because for most people, you're around long term, and short term games don't necessarily. Long term, they're gonna affect you. So a good piece of advice is protect that name. Always have integrity. Always play by the rules. I know, believe me, I've been there. We've all had situations where we've been short on cash. Be ethical is a good piece of advice. Or if somebody wants to break the rules, to help them out and say, I'm sorry, I apologize, but we can't do that. It's and always blame it on the next person. So like us, for example, right? So a lot of people want us to, fib the numbers on the taxes. Unfortunately, we don't do that, right? And we've always blamed it on the IRS. I'm sorry, the IRS says we need to be ethical and honest, and I would hate to submit it because it's going to be something incorrect. They're going to come back to you. It's going to cost us a lot more down the line. So if you kind of just explain things to them as opposed to saying no, it'll definitely help your name brand out, because someone like us, we don't need to worry about our name brand. We don't need to protect our name because we've done that over the years. We always, I'm sorry, I can't help you out. It's not something we do. And if you need to lose a couple bucks, it's just the way it is, right? And just be open and honest with people. So, you'll have your company name hopefully the rest of your life, and and you need to have integrity in that name. And I think as long as you do, you'll be totally fine, and you'll do it, because I believe in you. But just a little bit about us. I know I've kind of yapped on here, but our company, Metro Bookkeeping, so we've been in business for 15 years now, but www.metroacc.com. So I've seen mostly any and all kinds of small businesses, and definitely I can tell you from experience, be ethical and protect your name. That's the thing to do. But, if you like us, you love us, you want more of us, click like and subscribe down there. Until next time, stay awesome.